Okay, looks like we're live now.
Yes, we are live.
Thank you. So we'll call the meeting to order. I'm assuming attendance has been taken.
The roll's been taken.
Thank you. Rules and procedures. Do I need to read them all? I think we've heard them enough times. We can probably recite them in our sleep. Keep your cameras on and your mics off unless you're speaking. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, are there any separation of budget report items for consideration, consent, or items for discussion purposes?
Yes, please, Mr. Chair. 5.1.1. Yeah, 5.1.1, please.
Okay. Any other separations? All right. Can I get a mover and a seconder for all items not separated for discussion? Thank you, Councillor Vanderstel, second by Councillor Utley. We'll now call the vote on items not separated.
Sorry, just to clarify, Councillor Unley had said 5.1.1 twice. Did you mean 5.1.1 and 5.2.1 or just 5.1.1?
No, just 5.1.1, please. The paramedic report.
Okay, perfect. So just once again to reiterate, items subject to the voter as follows. 5.2.1, amended fees and charges bylaw, 52/2021, early approval of 2022 fees, and the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, and all items not separated for discussion purposes carry on a recorded vote. Those voting in favor, Councillors Vanderstel, Councillors Utley, and Councillor Martin. Those opposed, Councillor Carpenter.
Okay, we have no delegations for tonight's agenda. So can I have a mover and a seconder to put item 5.1.1 on the floor, please? Councillor Vanderstel, Councillor Utley, thank you. Councillor Utley, you asked for it to be separated. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looking through the report, it looks like the justification is there as far as volumes of calls go. That they're at or expect to be above 100% capacity going into 2022. However, I would like to know how our service, or the Brant County service, compares with other comparator cities that we compare ourselves with. And I would like to know from staff if that's possible to raise that issue with the county.
Through Mr. Chair, Joelle Daniels, Director of Finance and City Treasurer. Councillor Utley, it is a requirement of the Paramedic Services Agreement that someone from the county, the Director of the Paramedic Services, be present at the council meeting where this draft budget will be discussed. So we'll be making sure that someone from the county is available at the October 26th meeting to be able to answer questions of council.
Okay. Could we provide advance notice that we would like that, assuming the committee is in favor of this? I'd just like to know how we compare with other cities in our comparative group. The other part of that is how much of the increase in calls has been a result of the pandemic. That's question number 2. And is this increased trend, according to the numbers I read in the report, is that expected to continue in 2022 and 2023? I don't expect an answer now. It's pretty much impossible to get an answer to that, but I would like to know, like every year there seems to be another surprise with with the Brant County service, and I'd just like to know where we stand, how we compare with other communities, and make sure that we're not paying for something now and then find out in a year's time we may have too much capacity. So I think it's worth asking those questions at this point in time, and especially at budget time.
As a member of the paramedic committee, I can give you some answers to those. They won't have the hard numbers that we'll get from staff, but I think our level of utilization is higher than most of the communities around us. There's more instances of other communities running calls in our area than our ambulances running calls outside our area. Code 0, it's referred to as. As far as the pandemic's concerned, the call volume actually decreased when the pandemic started because nobody wanted to go to the hospital because they figured it'd be more likely to get COVID if they went to the hospital. And we're seeing the call volume picking up again now that things are starting to get back to normal, and people are double vaccinated. They're not as worried about getting COVID by going to the hospital, so they're a little more willing to go to the hospital. And we're pretty much getting back up to the level of calls we had before the decrease for the pandemic. And so we fully expect that the call volumes will continue to rise from this point. So it's not a matter of they'll go down after the pandemic. They're actually going up as the pandemic ends because call volume went down during the pandemic. And the way the financing works from the province, they cover half, but after we spend the money. And that's why we recommended at the committee to start the new ambulance and new staff halfway through so that we get hit with half the costs in 2022, and then in 2023 we'll get hit with the other half, but we also pick up the funding from the province, so the hit in the second year won't be as bad. So I think that that gives you a rough answer to some of your questions. Hopefully we'll get more details from staff when this comes to council.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Yep. No problem. Councillor Carpenter.
Trying to understand from staff, what is the rationale then for, since the committee itself agreed to this, that's what I'm understanding now from Councillor Martin. Why would we be sending them a note saying that they exceeded our budget requirements when the committee themselves with our representatives supported this?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So definitely we do have 3 members of council on the Paramedic Services Committee. Staff did feel that the recommendation coming forward should align with what council has set as a budget target for the 2022 budget year. So this in no way would be untowards, the greatness of the need that's in this budget, but simply a result of the budget target that council did set for its local boards and the city controlled portion of the budget. So of course, any significant budget increase in another area, could lead to additional reductions or pressures needing to be found in other areas of the city. And that was really the impetus for the staff recommendation.
Okay.
But we did provide an option in the report if the committee didn't want to go with the staff recommendation and instead wish to approve this draft budget in principle. That amendment wording is contained within the body of the report on the bottom of page 6 as well.
Okay, well then I'd like to do that based upon the suggestion of the chair.
Okay, so that'll be an amendment to what's on the floor. Do we have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Utley, thank you. So essentially this amendment just removes that, where are we here? Eliminates section B saying that it's in excess of our recommended guidelines. Is that the gist of the amendment?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if the clerk is ready to put it out there, but it is, it's on the bottom of page 4 of the report or page 6 of the agenda as a whole, but it would be that clause B be struck and replaced with clauses B to D as follows. And it looks like the clerk's got it up on the screen there now.
Okay, yeah, because I went to page 6 of the report and there was nothing there. Okay, we've all had a chance to read the amendment. It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments, questions on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll call the question on the amendment.
And the amendment to item 5.1.1 carries unanimously on a recorded vote. Those voting in favor, Councillors Utley, Councillor Martin, Councillor Carpenter, and Councillor Vanderstelt.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Carpenter, for that. So with that, is there any questions or comments on the motion as amended? Seeing none, we'll call the question.
Item 5.1.1 as amended carries unanimously on a recorded vote. Those voting in favor, Councillor Vanderstelt, Councillor Martin, Councillor Utley, and Councillor Carpenter.
Okay, so that brings us to resolutions, which we don't have any of. No notices of motion. Do any members of the committee have questions they'd like to raise at this time? I see your lips moving, Councilor Carpenter, but you're muted still. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say this will be our last time to ask questions because council's seen fit to take this right away from us.
Not sure what you're referring to. No, you're still on
Muted.
mute.
The review of the procedural bylaw will take this right away from us.
Oh. Okay. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Have a
Mr.
good
Chair.
night.
Good night, everyone.